So hey guys, my name is Tim. I am the Contemporary Worship Arts Director here at my church. And the reason that I'm making this video and posting it is because it just seems that every time the word drums and worship are kind of in the same sentence, that we get into a discussion about electronic drums versus acoustic drums, or acoustic drums versus electronic drums. So this video, I will state off the bat, is definitely not about one is better than the other. But I just wanted to talk about our solution here at our church, and hopefully it will help maybe some of you make a decision if you are in the process of maybe either upgrading drums, or at that, that time where your drums are kind of, it's just time to do something about them. So I'll give you a little backstory. So about 2 years ago, we were still using a Roland TD50 set, I believe it was. And I'll post a picture of that so that you guys can know what I'm talking about. But they were electronic drums, and they were about over 10 years old, and they just, a little bit of an eyesore, if you would say that. They just didn't look like something that maybe should be in the sanctuary. And that's, I'm trying not to make it sound bad, because I've seen a lot of churches that have the electronic drum sets with the rack and the pads and the cables hanging out, and they just don't look the best. And it's not all about looks, but I will relate the story that kind of sparked the direction that we went. So I had a friend invited me to her church service a couple years ago, and she was telling me for weeks or months that they had this incredible piano, and she just never could believe it because it was so beat up, and it, it had dents in it, and the finish was all, coming off, and it looked like somebody had just maybe beat it with a hammer. But she said the thing sounds amazing. And so I had an opportunity to go to one of the church services and realize that what she was talking about was a piano shell with a digital piano tucked inside. But she had no idea that that's what it was. Just from, being out in the congregation, you're, at least, maybe closest you're going to get is about 50 feet to the stage, and you just don't see these things. So kind of my mind went, we're due for an upgrade for our drums, and we had the budget to do something about it. And I really wanted to have the look of acoustic drums, but I wanted to have the electronic drums. And a little bit of a backstory of our church is that this was about 3 years ago when we did the switch. And maybe about 2 years ago, we did this switch. And some of you know that being able to practice quietly is a big benefit of having instruments go direct and the piano go direct, and electronic drums. You're not disturbing anybody when you're rehearsing. So if you guys have meetings and small groups that meet around your sanctuary when you guys are rehearsing, to have a low volume really helps. So anyway, we came up with this sort of like hybrid kit, and I will take you up here and talk to you a little bit about it. So hey guys, here's our drum kit in the sanctuary, and basically what it is a Yamaha Stage Custom kit, which I got off eBay. It's a 10-inch, 12-inch, 14, and a 16, and a 14-inch snare. Basically it's got the Yamaha TrueTrack conversion electronic heads on it. So from a distance, it looks like an acoustic kit. It really kind of goes with our sanctuary here. They fit very well. They're not an eyesore. And then I've got Yamaha electronic cymbal pads. So I was able to, since we didn't do a stock kit, like we had the previous Roland kit where kind of everything comes together. But I liked the Yamaha cymbals. They were relatively inexpensive. And I really like the TrueTrack heads. They kind of have like if your drummers are out there, a real feel practice pad, they kind of have that feel, and they're not the mesh heads. But anyway, I tried several different hi-hat controllers, and what I kind of went back to was just a regular sort of electronic drum pad with the foot controller. All the hi-hats that had sort of like the two cymbals, like a traditional hi-hat, were really expensive. They were like maybe $400. And what I found was they were kind of loud. And so that's the other thing, electronic drums, you don't want the stick sound of hitting the pad to be kind of louder than the sound out front. That's kind of my biggest fear every week is that with electronic drums, and that's kind of one of the drawbacks, if you say, is that I don't want the congregation to hear the head sound of the sticks hitting. I want them to hear the amplified sound. So, but anyway, and then we've got an extra pad for a cross stick. I've always done that live with all the bands I've played with. I've had an electronic pad with a cross stick sound. It just comes through the PA better. And I've never been a big fan of the cross stick on the electronic drums. It's just never really consistent. So assign that to a different pad. And then I've got a MacBook Air running software for drum samples, which is Easy Drummers, which is fairly inexpensive. But it's also the same computer that we run our tracks off of. So, and I will post the specs of that Apple computer. But it's a stock MacBook Apple Air, like the cheapest laptop they make. It's got a solid state drive in it, but we're running our drum software and our tracks, and I will take you around the other side and show you exactly what that looks like. So here I am, and this is the rack that sits next to the drums, which houses the brain and everything. But it's a MacBook Air running Easy Drummer software, and we're also running Digital Performer to run our tracks and our click off the same computer. And so in this rack, I've got my Aviom rack-mounted module for my headphone mix. We've got our old V-Drum module, which is basically our pad to MIDI interface, which the MIDI goes into the MacBook Air and then triggers the samples. And then I've got a 4-channel direct box so the tracks and the drums and everything comes out of. And I actually have another dual direct box in the back for 2 more channels. So basically, the computer is spitting out a left and right drum mix. So we don't send individual channels of the drums to the house, but we found that the left and right works, and I've worked with our sound guy, and we've really dialed it in for the way that the room sounds. And then I've got a backing track left and right that comes out of here, and then a click track, and then we've got an extra track in case, like our bass, we don't have a bass player for the week, we can send a bass out to the house. And then that's just running off of a Motu, I think it's the 8A interface. So it's got 8 outputs, and so we use 6 of those usually. And that might be too much information for you guys. But anyway, I'm going to play a little bit, and so you can hear what this setup sounds like. And hopefully, again, this is going to help some of you guys maybe when you're looking at doing drums. Anyway, here we go. So anyway, that's just a little bit about our electronic drum setup here. I know it's probably too much information for some people and maybe not enough information for others, but I just wanted to show you what we're doing here, and I hope that helps some of you guys out. So thanks for watching.